Welcome back to my 6th edition vlog. This video we're going to be covering the changes they made to Psykers. So in 5th edition Psykers were pretty straightforward. You chose the powers you wanted from your codex, and in order to use that power you simply choose a target or declare when to use it and roll a leadership test or a psychic test. However, in 6th edition they changed it to be much more complex. First of all, Psykers now have mastery levels. Mastery levels indicate how many spells a Psyker can use per turn. It is confusing because most Psykers in 5th edition can only use one power, except for maybe the Grey Knights, Mephiston, and a few others here and there, Eldrad maybe. So the introduction of mastery levels is quite confusing. Anyways, a mastery level actually plays to more into the game in terms of warp charges. Now, warp charges is a new introduction as well. Basically, it's a Psyker gets the amount of warp charges according to his mastery level per turn. Each turn, the warp charges are eliminated. So, if you're mastery level 1, you get 1 warp charge per turn, and these warp charges will be used to actually generate psychic powers. I don't know why would they want to introduce this, but we'll get into that. I'll give you the answer. Moving on. To manifesting your power or using the psychic power is like 5th edition, is that you pay the warp charges that you need to actually use the psychic power. Then you choose a target, make a psychic test, which is still a leadership test. And then, however, they introduce something called Deny the Witch. Deny the Witch is a protection from psychic powers for everyone in the game. So you don't need a psychic hood now to actually cancel or nullify the power anymore. However, Denying the Witch, what you need to do is you need to roll a 6 only to actually nullify the power. I'm going to explain the changes they made to psychic hoods as well in a bit. Perils of the Warp are still on double 1s and double 6s on a roll of 2d6, and double 1 still less the power goes off, and a double 6 nothing happens. However, they changed that back in 5th edition. If you fail a Perils, if you get Perils, you can actually roll your invulnerable save, but you have to re-roll it to actually nullify the wound. But in this edition, if you get Perils, you suffer a wound with no armor save of any kind allowed. So that's one of the changes. Okay, so Psychic Hood. So now that every unit has Deny the Witch, what does Psychic Hood do? Psychic Hood allows a unit within 6 inches of the hood to actually use the Psyker's Deny the Witch roll. So, however, it's a d6, right? It's a roll of a 6 to deny the witch. However, if there's a Psyker in the target unit that is equal or lower mastery levels than your Psyker, you get a +1 to your deny the witch roll, which makes it a +5. However, if you have a Psyker with more mastery level than your opponents, you get a 2+, so that makes a 4+ to nullify the psychic test. So that it's definitely enough to psychic powers, and it's definitely enough to psychic hoods and its effectiveness of actually stopping powers. So we can't get the space wolves that on a 4+ everything is gone or anything like that anymore. There should be an errata or an FAQ out on specific things on how this change to psychic powers affect multiple armies with special rules to nullify powers. Okay, so moving on to the interaction of actual types of psychic powers. As you know, in 6th edition, there is you cannot just pick a psychic power out of the book and use it anymore. Every psychic power you use, it's on a random. So, for instance, if you use your Space Wolf Codex, you can no longer choose Jaws of the Wolf every single time. It's random like fantasy. The chart is probably going to be on maybe in an FAQ or several erratas, I guess, which power gets which power is on what number, because in fantasy you roll a d6 on the powers that you get. If the Psyker can use 2 powers, so you roll 2d6 and you get the same numbers. However, I'm going to go into the new Psychic powers that they introduced in 6th edition in this rulebook in a bit. So let's get into the specific types of Psychic powers. So this is called Blessings, which Blessing is basically spells that buff friendly units, and it lasts for 1 turn. Yep, it lasts for 1 turn, and blessings, the buff or penalties that you actually give out actually accumulate, so you can have several blessings or several curse. I just call it curse on enemy units to debuff or buff your own units, but it's a 1 turn thing. Conjurations are actually spells that conjure up units. I'm very confused, but it's what the classification. And again, this ends at the end of your turn. There's Malediction. Malediction is spells that you use during your movement phase. So I'm not sure which spells actually fall in this category, but that's it. Witchfire. Witchfire are basically spells that you target enemies, so offensive spells. And there's different types of beams: Focus, Witchfire, Maelstrom, and Nova. I don't know why they actually specify that each type of psychic power, since okay, yeah, I'm sorry. They actually specify like the restrictions and how long each type lasts in the game, but I'm not gonna get through that. It's not really something important just yet. Anyways, let's move on to actually the types of new psychic powers you get. So there's a chart on Bells of Lost Souls, if you haven't seen it, that actually indicates which army can use which type of psychic powers introduced in this rulebook. So let's get to what types of psychic powers that you can choose from. You can choose Biomancy, Deviation, Pyromancy, Telekinesis, and Telepathy. So that's 2, 3, 5 types of psychic powers you can actually choose from. So now these psychic powers are exactly like the fantasy one. So you have 6 spells, but if you don't like the spell you get, you can always trade it with a signature spell, or this one, or in 40k it's called Primaris Powers. It's a spell that no matter what you roll, you can always swap it out with. So let's look at Biomancy. Now Biomancy is, as the rulebook describes it, specializing in manipulating biological energy and possess it with power of their minds. So I don't know. The Premier's power, I'm just going to call it signature spell. So the signature spell is called Smite, and Smite is a Witchfire with a 12 range 12, strength 4, AP 2, assault 4, and it uses Warp Charge 1. So Witchfire is that you use it in the shooting phase. Moving on, number 1 is called Iron Arm. Iron Arm, you use 1 Warp Charge, and it's a blessing. Now the Psyker, it's a blessing for the Psyker himself, and with the power in effect, so 1 turn, the Psyker gains D3 plus strength and toughness. Also gains Eternal Warrior special rule. That is awesome. So that's a preview into this. I'm gonna do separate videos for each branch of spells, because I read through these spells and all of them are just wow. They just change the game so much. If you get one off, I'm not sure if you can actually cancel. No, you can't. There's no magic phase like fantasy, so never mind. So yeah. So that's the changes to Psykers, and my next video is definitely going to be uploaded pretty soon, maybe right after this one. I'm going to go through the psychic disciplines of 40k. Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe to keep track of all the updates I'm going to be doing for 6th edition. And I'm not going to tell. I don't know how many videos I'm going to do per day. All this will be random. So subscribe to keep track. Thank you.